suspense is real.
I probably actually already got rid of that border now that I think about it, so... my master plan isn't going to work. Oh, we are live, it looks like. How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the best speed game on Game Boy, Mega Man V, since we're using Roman numerals down here. I'm MrCab. Got Mannix here to help me out on commentary. Good job with Mega Man 4.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be with you here, and I hope you do better than me.
You did like really good in that game. I don't know if I can, what I'll be able to pull off here.
Just pick the right stages and you're already ahead.
Oh, a couple of notes, I guess, before we begin. This is actually a Super Game Boy game. It's a Super Game Boy Enhanced. It's the only one of the Game Boy series that did that. So I've actually kind of disabled some of the features in the hopes of reducing some lag. I don't know if it works. I should probably be playing on Game Boy Interface in the next few weeks to get some time back. I'm also on the J cart. It saves 29 seconds in text and cutscenes, but gameplay is the exact same. That said, I think we're ready to go.
I'll follow you.
You ready? You want to count me down?
Sure. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Oh,
all right.
We gotta hold on in the chat.
So we're gonna hit start in a cutscene, and just like all the other Game Boy games, we're gonna fight a robot master from. This is not Mega Man 5. We get Star Droids in this game. Everything's actually completely original.
You start with Neptune, mainly because his weapon is really powerful, but also the other weapons you can get from other robots doesn't really help us accelerate the completion of this stage. So you're actually on a submarine, and this particular section is really, really tight. The ship wavers, and you have to screen transition to the helicopter scenes when they're at their peak, so you can actually shoot a power shot as soon as you get in. That was really well done.
Yeah, it saves somewhere between 4 and 6 seconds if you can actually get that. There is sort of a backup strat to make sure you can still get a relatively quick kill, but again, it's like 6 seconds slower. You've probably already noticed by now that Mega Man's Buster in this game just a little different than you might be used to. If you've played Mega Man 7, you actually might recognize this sort of fist shooting mechanic. According to the plot of the game, at least, the Star Droids are just too strong for the Mega Buster, so this is Dr. Light's modification to Mega Man to make it so he can actually combat them. Don't ask me why lemons still work.
Yeah. The cool thing about the charge shot is it actually hits an enemy coming back. We call it the snapback. So you can hit him for 3 damage going forth and 3 damage coming back. So some tough enemies can be taken out in one shot. Well placed. That jump isn't possible, but props to you even trying it.
It's actually still faster to go for it. The only problem in this stage is all these steam jets, you see me kind of damage boosting off as we go along here, do 4 hit points of damage. So more than any other stage in this game, Neptune stage is one you have to kind of be ready to be able to just take care of the final boss with a 1 hit point left, basically. It's
also, if you... Sorry, go ahead.
So yeah, that section, it is possible right before that long ladder climb to get the slide jump. Mega Man 4 actually has a few opportunities for them. I think that's the only really meaningful one in this game. We didn't get the rest of that music loop. This is my best run of the day to this point. Nice.
Yeah, shoutouts to the music, which is pretty amazing. You'll notice a lot of lag, though. This game is very well made, but it comes with lag management, probably more than all the other games.
Enough lag, I actually didn't get my half charge there. That was Neptune. I hope you enjoyed him.
Do not stand far from this boss. He will do this earth-shaking move, and it's actually worse than New Duo Laser in terms of lag.
It's awful. As long as you stay close to Neptune, he will just kind of lob salt water at you, and it's pretty simple. You saw me doing half charges against him. Half charges do 2 hit points of damage to bosses in this game, and it's the best damage per second you're going to get out of the Buster. Here's salt water, our weapon here. It's kind of neat in that it reacts to what you're holding on the directional pad when you fire it. So it has kind of 6 levels of shooting, just a neutral shot, and then, you know, forward, up and forward, up, down. The shot gets affected by that. We don't use it that much, but it's good to know when you're playing the game.
So the next stage will be Mercury, which personally is my favorite song. There's a lot of contenders for best song in this, but a lot of movement, a lot of tech.
That drop.
There's a lot of lags that you have to watch out which direction it's carrying you.
In this drop, you can actually just run right up against that wall up above, so you miss those spikes. Just little stupid tricks. There are a bunch of P-chips there as well. We talked a little bit about P-chips in the previous game. They're back. Same deal. Small ones are 2, big ones are 8. I need to get 30 P-chips in the first half of the game. My Enforced shopping trip comes after the first 4 robots, and I want to get a W tank, the weapon refill tank. If I don't get them, which is not impossible, it's unlikely. For the purposes of a PB attempt, it would be a run killer. For the purposes of a marathon attempt or something like that, I would just go shopping again later.
I'm gonna lose you for a second. I just gotta refresh the stream.
All right. So this next screen actually has an enemy that does a lot of damage if you get bodied by him. Pretty precise kill there to do the 6 hit points of damage.
Yeah, if you don't, he causes a lot of lag. He shoots sparks in 8 directions, I believe. And
something like that.
Invulnerable for a small period during that as well.
That kill is actually free as long as you get the slide under him. So Mercury has an interesting kind of property as a boss. His pattern is determined by how many hit points he has left. If he has an odd number of hit points after taking damage, he does this sort of fast cross the room pattern. If he has a odd number of hit points left, he does a... I can't talk right now, I'm sorry. Even number is slow, odd is fast.
What Cab is trying to say is he'll do 4 full charges, 2 half charges, and another 4 to end it to minimize the amount of transition time that he's going to have to deal with, which equals to 2 long transitions, and the rest are short ones.
It's actually a little faster to do it this way than all short transitions. Granted, I haven't looked at Tremaine's recent task work of the game to see if that's kind of confirmed still, but I'm pretty sure that's still the case. It's 2 seconds faster than the all-fast transitions just because there's fewer transitions overall this way.
I'm glad you mentioned Tremaine because we often forget how much he's done for the Mega Man community and even putting these games on the map. And I hope that he's watching. I told him about this, and I hope he's been able to catch us.
Word. There are a couple of just weapon name differences between the J cart and the US cart as well. This weapon, I believe, is the Grab Buster on the US version. Shoutouts to localization.
Yeah. The weapon we just got, the Mercury weapon, is actually really powerful in a number of ways. 1, it does quite a bit of damage, and 2, every time you hit an enemy, a small health refill will gravitate towards you that you can pick up to heal. So we'll use that in this stage a lot, the Mars stage, to deboost quite a bit and sustain life.
Yeah, casually, it's really good. Even from a speedrun perspective, we're going to use it a lot here since it actually does 2 points of damage per hit anyway. And like Maddox is saying, it's just really convenient to be able to know, you're not going to be hurting at the end of a long stage just because you get this weapon-free life out of it.
Now, Mars is notorious for lag, so it's important to kill everything in your way, and if you miss one shot, it causes an enormous amount of lag, and it messes up your timing. Especially where those rockets are.
This mini-boss isn't that bad. Just wait for that. Mars' stage... Neptune has this pseudo-water thing going on. Mars, of course, the Roman god of war. So we get a lot of explosives in the stage, which just really lags everything, which is kind of unfortunate. This whole second half of the stage, though, we actually get to use Mercury's weapon here just to do that extra bit of damage per shot. Not that we can kill everything, so we still have to jump into this sort of tombola enemy here. There's just no fast way to kill it.
It also happens that every enemy from here on forth do like 6 points of damage. It's really like
Come on.
frustrating without this weapon.
That's pretty tight to actually get past that missile there. And I'm not going to get this because I tried to jump out of that mine's hole. You can actually boost off that missile and slide through that screen without taking damage from the, I guess, spiny.
You got the Tremaine boost.
I got the boost and then didn't actually use it. I'm sad.
So if you reverse deboost that rocket at the top so that you hit it just as you fall down, you have enough iframes to pass the little armadillo enemy.
It's actually worth noting, there is no like true back boosts in this game. Mega Man kind of, I like to say he gets hit in the direction that makes sense, and that if you hit like the right side of an enemy, you tend to get hit to the right, as opposed to just purely backwards. There we go.
Coming up is the Mars boss, which is weak to the Neptune weapon, which we conveniently already have equipped coming into the zone. You just basically want to do small hops over his projectiles and land some bubbles on him. There's really not much to this fight.
The photon missiles from Mars will block most weapons. I think they block all weapons. The kind of small shots he fires after that, and that's a scripted pattern. He will always do that pattern. They are destructible, so you can sit there and blow them up with whichever weapon you have. After that, he crosses the room, and I forget if things are scripted after that or if things get a little random. But if the fight's going on that long, you did something wrong.
He ducks his head inside his armor, so you can't hit him for periods of time.
Yeah. Mars, it's worth noting, is also the first star droid we actually had a weakness for. We don't have Mercury or Neptune's weakness, even if we did something different.
Fortunately, we will be able to showcase them later on in the run. Venus. Now, if you guys know how to whistle, this is an amazing song to whistle to. But if you're lightning, you can't whistle. You just go do 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 do.
I literally came up with the strat for this screen while waiting for an oil change one day.
Yeah,
I feel like this is like my only original speedrunning strat.
Oh yeah. We should call it the cab strat.
It's also worth noting that up is a slide cancel button for this game, and I think Mega Man 4, maybe 3 as well. Unlike a lot of the NES games where the only thing you can do is either hit backwards or in Mega Man 6, press jump again to stand up.
You'll notice some waterfalls in the background. They actually cover your stepping areas and also push you downward. So
they do, but as long as you don't move on a ladder for whatever reason, it doesn't work. Little programming mistake. But if you try to move on the ladder, it will knock you off.
These owls take 5 points of damage, so you do a full charge, and while he pulls you towards him, you do a jump into him and do a half charge.
Yep. So this is the first room you see this sort of bouncy bubble mechanic. If you're on a big bubble, you get a big jump. If you're on a small bubble, you get a small jump. And it's impossible. It's literally impossible to figure out what's actually going on in there.
Speaking of impossible, I'll let you focus on that room.
Oh my goodness. Those crabs, which were already past a few of them at this point, they shoot bubbles and you can get caught in them and they just kind of carry you around. This is the worst room in the game. Okay, we made it. That 2-tile slide under those spikes is really nasty. If you're having a lot of trouble there on a casual playthrough, I would say just get hit by those bees, which themselves are really annoying because their attack is literally to lag you. They kind of like give you this poison effect. It's weird.
I would call them the lag attack. No pun intended.
All right. So Venus is actually not that hard, to the point that there's actually a Venus first route through this game for a while. Once you shoot, Venus will jump and do one of 2 attacks, either a high jump and launch that, or there could be kind of a medium jump, just like that. Thank you, Venus. So knowing that his AI works that way, he's pretty easy to manipulate right into your shots.
And you did well with your ammo, you had just enough. So also worth noting, at this point on, Cab won't have any weapon refills from completing stages, so he's going to have to start managing his weapon ammo very well. And this game is notorious for making you use the same weapons constantly.
Yeah, there's actually a couple of really good weapons for the second half of the game that we're going to use a lot, and we need a lot of weapon drops to kind of fuel that through all the stages, including the endgame stages, to defeat these dastardly star droids. I need a good adjective for them. Nothing's coming to me. So, if you were watching the opening cutscene of this game, you saw this sort of robot with like the cool hair here come down and basically wipe the floor with Mega Man. And Mega Man basically gets beat up, and that's where Dr. Light gives him the Mega Arm. So having defeated all 4 of the star droids that came here to invade Earth, well, we're here to confront, depending on if you're on the J cart or the English cart, it's either it's Earth on the J cart, it's Terra on the US cart. I kind of like the name Terra. If you're on the US cart, you get an extra text box there with 1 word in it. I said that the J cart saves 28 seconds in text and cutscenes, and I meant it. So Terra comes down here, gives you a big speech about how he's going to destroy you this time, and then he says, Dark Moon attack. Dark Moon is a completely original robot that no one has ever seen anything like it before. It's really terrifying. It's possible. Some say it's easy. I've actually never gotten it. I think... Have you gotten it, Maddox? The 1 cycle on this guy?
Twice with save states.
Man, it's pretty tight. You want to kind of get in here. Let's see. Yeah, that's what tends to happen. You basically need to get really close.
That was
plant some missiles in its eye. You have enough time to kind of jump and hit it 5 times. You need 7 shots to actually take it out, though. The sort of traditional strat here, which can get you an easy 5-2, is on the 4th step. Just start doing this.
Tremaine is the only one who has 1 cycled this boss during a live run. It's pretty impressive.
And just for your solar system theme, like I think I mentioned the name earlier, Dark Moon. So Yellow Devil takes that on. So I mentioned we were going to have ourselves a shopping trip at some point. Here it is. Looks like I got 46 P chips, so we're good. It's worth noting you can kind of swirl on the D-pad here, just like mash all the buttons, and it will advance the text pretty fast. So all we need is 1 weapon tank, since Neptune does 2 units of ammo per shot.
And we'll need a weapon a whole lot towards the end of the game. Well, actually, we need it right now, but...
Yeah. So, 1-800-R spaceship?
I think this is Amazon Prime, right? That's what they do, right?
Yeah,
they
that's
just
how it
hop
works.
on and deliver your stuff. 2 days.
So, we're going to go to Pluto. Pluto has the best music in this game, if you ask me, for a stage. It also has these tanks that do 8 hit points of damage for some reason, and I only have 19.
And the sad part is they look completely harmless when you look at them. They just walk around with a shield.
Yes. It is actually really long, and I think the word is arduous to kill them. I'm actually going to take that health drop. There are strats to not need any health drops to kill them all. Well, to pass them all. But more likely than not, I'm going to be switching to Mercury's weapon to make sure I don't die.
It's specifically good for this little mini boss, which you would just want to hit him as he goes up underneath, because his drill on the top is no damage. It's
dies in 2 hits to Neptune, as opposed to going through a long cycle of basically playing Catch Drill Man. Made it. Good. We didn't get caught by the falling girder there over the other falling platform. Alright, so this is where, on a real record attempt, I probably would try to stay off of Mercury just to not collect a bunch of drops. But it's too convenient in a marathon. This is the damage boost I was talking about earlier. because getting hit by that falling girder is a lot less painful than the 8 hit points of damage you take from the tank. And I see it in chat. This game was made back when Pluto was still classified as a planet, so shoutouts to Pluto.
That's why people don't play the game anymore, though, because they think there's
Game's been
stuff that doesn't
obsoleted.
belong.
I don't want Mars, I want Neptune. Come on. Menuing is the final boss.
So just another mini boss here, and we're actually going to see one of our former friends for the first time in this game.
So Proto Man can give me one of many items. He gave me a 1-up. That's the part of the reason you want to use Mercury there, just to make sure you have enough health for that tank. Mercury conveniently is actually Pluto's weakness. That said, I'm going to need to find some Mercury ammo before this run is over to actually take him out in refights.
He should be fine.
Alright, so that works.
This boss is fully scripted. It does the same pattern every time. This is actually a quick kill, so you can get him down to 1 HP before Pluto starts flying up to the wall, and then you throw a Venus bubble that crawls up the ceiling and for the final blow. Good fight.
I don't know what the status of Pluto is anymore. I do know Pluto's weapon in this game is actually really good. The weapon itself has 3 levels of charge, which give you 3 levels of distance, all of which do the same amount of damage. But the key thing here is after Mega Man uses it, you see that flashing? Mega Man gets iframes for using this weapon. That's not broken at all.
Yeah, a speedrunner's dream, I can tell you that. And we'll use it right now in Jupiter, which I'll let you focus because I know you're...
Oh, yeah. You can talk to it a little bit, but this stage, the first screen, the last screen, are probably the 2 most technical screens in the game.
Yeah, every enemy takes a long time to either kill or to lose their invulnerability, so they lose a ton of time if you don't just run through them, which is exactly what we'll do, conveniently. And you want to do short charges because you'll need it a lot. It's a pretty long stage, and if you do big charges, you'll run out of ammo.
Ugh. This game's not laggy at all. You might be noticing that in the sort of outdoor sections of this stage, I am dealing with low gravity.
Yeah, when inside it is perfectly normal again, so Cav has to adjust on the fly to how his inputs are. Which, when you start the game, it's a run killer.
You can actually make that jump there. I'm probably going to have to start working on it soon. This is the worst jump in the game. Oh my god. Because this screen is midway. If I died on that jump, I'd be back at the start of the stage, and we would all be very sad. That'd be probably like 2 minutes of time loss.
And a lack of Pluto.
Yeah.
So interesting choice here to switch to the Mercury Bubble. Seems to get rid of the flying enemy really quicker.
I should have tried to go through that all in one go, but oh well. Nice! I got a weapon drop! So because I got that drop, I'm going to actually break dash through that enemy. Otherwise, I would have normally killed it, since you probably have noticed by now. Break dash lets you use the Buster to fire lemons for no cost while it's equipped. And then killing this guy.
You have a good amount of HP, this is good.
That first enemy on that screen you kind of kill just to make sure you don't get a drop, since that'll, you don't want to lose the minute to that in a marathon or a race, world record attempt. Yeah, break dash right through him.
So Jupiter himself is not very difficult, but the ice on the floor makes it difficult to land your explosive bubbles properly. He is invulnerable when he shoots his beam downwards, and he can also deflect your bubbles with his 4 projectiles. Other than that, he just swoops down and follows you. And you finished in the center. I commend you for that.
Need a drink there. Jupiter gives us the electric shock, probably the best weapon in this game as far as pure damage output goes.
Yeah, it's you charge about about 2 tiles length of beam in front of you, and you can hold it down so that it makes a shield. It breaks almost any projectile, kills most strong enemies in 1, if not 2 hits.
If you're actually playing this game on your 3DS, it's worth noting your iframes with Jupiter's weapon are different to the point that Mega Man does not kill the enemy in the demo room. It's kind of weird. So modify your strats accordingly.
The Saturn song is very good, and you'll also notice there's half gravity or double gravity sections, so Cab has got to adjust his jumping and moving mechanics constantly in this stage. It's actually quite fun once you get the hang of it. And the enemy that lags the game the most.
You kind of heard some extra whack whack of Mega Man hitting something sound there when I jumped. Mega Man, that was the electric shock destroying shots. Oh, I wanted that.
Those large refills are a godsend when you're speedrunning, because at this point we want at least one of them to refill either Jupiter if it's low, or even Pluto.
Yeah, I got one for Pluto already, which is really good. If I got one there from Eddie, I paused because I was going to give it to Mercury, given it's really low right now. And because I'm saving weapon energy, I'm going to just damage boost through that enemy. This is another enemy that if you're on 3DS, just make sure you kill it before you go through. Okay. Just a little hesitation there to get that guy in range.
This is the last section of the stage, which has quite a bit of variation in gravity. And that jump is only possible because the Jupiter can destroy the projectile while it's coming down. I've died a lot there.
So Saturn is actually the worst buster fight in this game. He can kind of just freeze your Mega Arm, absorb shots, sit in a corner forever. With his weakness, well, the fight's already over for a reason.
Yeah, that's actually a bad pattern where he jumps in the air and tries to time freeze you. You want him to remain on the bottom and just continue shocking him.
Yeah, I do kind of like, though, that you can get him to freeze you with the electric shock out, and he just kind of seals his own fate. Saturn's weapon is the sort of screen clearing weapon of the game. Black hole.
No. Black hole, yeah. It's it causes a lot of lag, but it's extremely powerful, and we will make use of it. It is actually Mercury's weakness that we talked about earlier that we didn't have. Now we do.
Saturn also gives us Rush Jet. I hope you enjoyed seeing Rush Jet, because that's the only time you will see it during this run. I'm actually, the more I think about it, the more I'm surprised Rush Jet is nowhere in this run.
Yeah, a lot of it's funny because a lot of the sections in this game are horizontal, and you'd think he'd be extremely useful.
Ooh, that's awesome.
So Uranus, the last of the 8 robots, or the 8 star droids, I should say.
Mm-hmm. They're still robots.
The shoutouts to the music fitting the level marvelously.
Also, if you this mini boss here, I just want to give shoutouts. If you go to the cutting room floor for Mega Man 4 NES, you will see that mini boss there.
So those Sphinx heads that you just seen, they either die to 3 Mars shots or 5 Jupiter sparks, but the Jupiter sometimes tinks against the invulnerable sections and you lose him. So
Eddie.
Yeah, here we always hope for a drop because we start getting thin on everything that's important. And you did not get it.
It's actually worth noting with this electric shock here, you can't move, like you can't walk while it's out, but you can jump, and sliding will cancel it. Come on, bird.
Yeah,
one of the
birds
alternate
in
strats for the
stage
screen
are
is
so
to
well placed they can ruin runs. It's unbelievable.
alternate strat for that screen, just use Saturn. I hate that room. I've lost more than 1 PB to that room.
We got a second Sphinx to deal with. It's exactly the same. I believe the tiles are 1 shorter. I'm not sure.
Yeah. The one thing I'm doing there when I'm kind of jumping into its face to kind of plant that last missile there, it is sort of setting it up so that that platform will end up as far to the right as possible, because it does try to recenter itself afterwards. Laggy screen here. Ugh. So
you just beat the worst enemy of the game.
Uranus takes 1 hit point of damage from everything except the Buster. Oh, except not the Buster, except
The break
Pluto.
dash.
So enjoy the quick kill.
So you basically want to do wiggle dashes. So you dash in him and you back up just enough to do a small charge and you let it go again. You repeat that 3 times and that's it. If you actually don't kill him quick, he does make different terrain moves with the rocks, closes off certain sections of the stage, and we'll try to throw some at you.
Yeah. When he jumps up and down, much like the intro, he shakes the floor, and that will interrupt a break dash. That kind of makes it tricky if you don't just get in there.
Now we get the weapon with the most clever name, the Deep Digger.
Deep Digger.
Come on, chat. It's just digging here.
That one kind of makes it obvious when you're supposed to use it. And I have no idea why all these Deep Digger blocks are here on the screen where we're going to fight Terra.
Yeah, so Terra's hair appointment is finally over, so you actually can fight him.
So I believe it's Tremaine's strat here to actually open this fight with a full charge Buster shot. It makes it so you need 1 less block. Terra has, first of all, he has the good version of Gemini Laser. He also has kind of a Metal Man type property, where as long as you don't cross the middle of the room, he won't teleport away to one of either side. So we take advantage of that fact to basically kill him on one side of the room.
Hey, you didn't even miss a block. That was a very good fight.
Yeah.
Textbook.
Without the full charge that opened the fight, I would need 1 more, at which point I'm basically borderline where he's going to jump back and teleport, which would be bad. We fortunately didn't see the other attack where he has this sort of like, almost like a Link to the Past blue ball attack that kind of freezes you in place for a little while.
If this game was a, if this game was a shmup, I would totally use this weapon all the time. The Terra weapon actually directly attacks enemies and homes on them. Unfortunately, it causes a ton of lag, and it's not really useful for the run, but we will use it once.
Well, the good news is we destroyed all the Star Droids. The bad news is Mega Man might not be the smartest robot in town, because while he was busy taking them out, Dr. Wily literally built a Death Star.
And he was just hiding behind the hill right there. Nobody
was just hiding right there behind this random asteroid, I guess.
Now, one has to wonder, how many ships does this guy actually have? And where is this shipbuilding crew?
I know, right? So just like most of the other Mega Man Game Boy games, 3 being the exception, we're going to fly off the Dr. Wily spaceship. Unlike all the rest of them, we get to play a shmup here.
And it's the only fame that kind of Rush Jet-esque level.
It's worth noting this section of the stage is entirely scripted. These sort of meteorites will always be in the same spot. The middle section, there are 8 sort of snub fighters that show up in random places and move at 1 of 3 speeds. I want to see all fast.
I call them Space Mets.
Space Mets. I can kind of see it. Ooh,
so they
double.
take 4 damage. You'll try to do a full charge on them and then a single shot. And if you make them swirl around in a certain pattern, you can actually hit more than one like you did there. Good job.
That was really good! This last section is also entirely scripted. Start down, go up, down, up, down. Remember that A is a little bit of a boost, because if you only go up, down, you can still make it, but that one comes through the middle.
Yeah, it's best to hug up the last couple of ones just to be safe.
1-800 Space Marine. So this is the super laser. If you're the task, you do a full charge, a lemon, and a full charge. If you're a mere mortal, you do a full charge and then mash lemons and hope you do get 2 lemons in for 5 points of damage. Like every other boss meter in the game, it has 19 hit points in it, so you can afford 1 cycle of only 4 and still do it in 4 cycles. Hope optimally, of course, that last cycle is the one that's 4.
There's not much else to this fight. It's pretty easy. Even if you take a ton of damage in the stage, you can manage. So Dr. Wily took years to build a ship, and we take it down in about 40 seconds.
Yeah. There is some intentional positioning on my part at the end of the sort of super laser section and right here at the end of this boss. That was a gold split to just make sure Mega Man is sort of positioned on the screen where he's going to end up. You know, traditional sort of I want to be centered on the screen sort of movement.
So this stage is actually pretty cool because it has a ton of refights from all the previous Game Boy Mega Mans.
Yeah, we're gonna start with some big refights here.
I don't want to jinx it, but this is a really nice run.
This is pretty good. It's already way behind, actually, unfortunately. But it has some latent potential in it still. So you might have seen this guy earlier today in Retrothon. It's Anchor from Mega Man Game Boy 1, Dr. Wily's Revenge.
If you don't play Game Boy, you might have seen him in Mega Man Soccer.
That's true. Anchor is the official Game Boy representative to Mega Man Soccer.
He was always my goaltender.
So we get 2 weapon drops here, which I almost always give... No, I have to give it to Pluto. To Jupiter and Pluto. If one of them is especially full, yes, I will give it to something else. You might notice here that the iframes are well over, and I'm still sliding right through these enemies. There is sort of a glitch there where words, as long as all you do is slide, Mega Man's iframes just don't tend to run out from... Ugh.
So here's your favorite
break
Pogo.
dash.
I mean Quint. Weak to the Mars missile in this. The fight is totally the same as Mega Man 2. You do have to watch where you plant the missile because it's kind of above where you think the hitbox would be. And shoutouts to this being a Mega Man game. You do need some falls that you don't know what's going on.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm out of Mars, the photon missiles there. I'm going to be out of Mercury. So, like, as much as this run is actually on a pretty good pace, the game was not kind to me with drops. So, I'm definitely going to lose a ton of time in refights. So that was Quint, like you said. This is Punk. Percy's out there in chat. He can tell you all about how to kill Punk with only the Buster except Saltwater.
Oh, it's worth mentioning that
Oh
this game has 2 bubble weapons. Because one simply wasn't enough anymore.
Oh, but it's salt water. I guess it's sort of a bubble, but... Oh, no, I didn't do that properly. So these sections, if I slid off, I would have been in a good position to get right around that. Since I'm dealing with spikes, I'm not going to mess with it. Just going to kind of safely get through it.
Can anybody guess who the next refight boss will be?
Frieza.
It could be Imperfect Cell or Cell. You're right.
So yeah, we got Ballad here, and the hitbox still has not been fixed.
And he still has a ton of lag creations.
Especially using the bubble bombs there. You know, I wish Woodman was in this game.
Would he be weak to a bubble, though?
I'm trying to
I'm pretty sure you
think
can
what you would
explode
want to use on
anything.
Woodman.
Alright, so last little spike fall, and we'll get into the refights.
So I guess bonus content here, because we don't have any Mars missiles. You get to see the Buster fight here. I was talking Venus used to be a Venus first route in this game.
That'll be a
much,
first.
much like Neptune here. Just half charges.
Fortunately, Venus is very immobile, so you can predict what's going to happen well ahead of time.
The one thing with all those small bubbles is more kind of they're lag generators. So every now and again you want to kind of just jump into one, despawn it. 2 hits. Jupiter fights is actually easier in the refight because you don't have the ice anymore.
Yeah, but it's the same concept of a fight. You just want to hit him when he's not doing his laser.
So the bottom left capsule is actually Mars, which I would like to fire some saltwater at him before switching to Jupiter as a soft weakness. I have no saltwater. So I'm going to go and fight Saturn first, because as I mentioned earlier, Saturn without his weakness is just awful.
You could have also done Jupiter on Mars, just kind of stand in front of him and break all the projectiles.
Oh yeah, I'm specifically here actually fighting Saturn first to make sure Saturn's dead and I don't run out of Jupiter there. I would rather use Buster on Mars than Buster on Saturn.
Well, I'm
it's
pretty
actually
sure
too
people
close,
would have
so
enjoyed seeing your Buster get eaten alive, but you know, we'll make with what we got.
So oddly enough, Neptune's weakness is Earth. This is Spark Chaser's only use in the run. Don't find a refight skip.
Yeah.
Okay, you can find a refight skip.
If you shoot it off screen or incorrectly, the laser will just kind of do its own thing and not even attack its target. It's pretty finicky.
So I have 4 Mercury shots. I don't think I've ever fought Pluto with Buster only. We're going to run out of Mercury in this fight, though.
That'll be interesting. It's a night of the firsts.
And generate some lag here, but do some damage in the process. So Uranus is next, followed by Mercury. If you've played this game casually, you've probably gotten to Mercury and gotten hit by one of those grab buster shots and seen like a quarter of an E-Tank or something like that fly out of Mega Man. Because much like Mega Man steals health from enemies, Mercury just makes you lose items. And we have 1 W-Tank right now. So you can actually get kind of a half charge of Pluto here, get it up to this level in sort of this intro sequence, and don't stop holding it, and it will never reach full charge. Because if you do a full charge, when Mega Man's in the actual dash of the attack, he can still lose an item from the grab buster.
My strat is pretty risky there. I actually do a full charge and immediately do a slide underneath his first projectile, but I'm assuming I'm going to get bit on that one day.
Yeah, so if you're not comfortable with that and you're new to the game, I would say get the extra P chips in Mercury stage and buy 2 W tanks, just so that when you lose one, you still have enough Neptune for this next fight. We basically need to drain 2 life meters using Neptune. Before that, this is our break split for the game.
So here's what's frustrating about this part.
Nice.
Proto can actually give you an S tank to refill everything, which you just took the time to switch weapons and refill anyway. But
not only that, but because we just went through the refights, we have a lot of empty weapon energy meters, and they all get filled up. It actually loses about 8 seconds while you stand there watching yourself get all these weapons back you're never going to use again.
So these are the 2 arms from the Wily machine, so they'll basically aim at you and then come down crashing. You gotta shoot the eyes that appear on the wrists. So you can hit them 5 times in a cycle.
Mm-hmm. I think the task can eke out 6, but not a big deal. The one thing in that fight, because it shakes the floor, that might eat your jump. If you try and jump while Mega Man's kind of in the air while the floor falls out. But I mentioned earlier you can kind of angle Neptune shots by holding up. If you're holding up and you're right up against it, you will always hit. So hang on, we've got a musical cue here. All right. So this is where we use that W tank. you might have noticed I wasn't all the way over to the left side of the screen. The game is a little clever in that if you are all the way on the left, the game kind of sees your plan, and the fist will immediately go back up, and you can't get more hits in.
So this second fight actually has a skip, so
Yeah.
Mr. Guy is going to charge the Pluto for iframe purposes, switch to the black hole weapon, hug the machine, and release the black hole to hit it at the top. As soon as damage is taken, it'll switch back to Pluto and back to black hole and do that 4 times. The cool thing about that fight is it actually skips an entire phase. There's actually another phase after this where the wall comes down halfway and you have to fight him. But somehow nobody knows how it works. This particular method actually skips it altogether.
Yeah, that boss you're supposed to... It's one of those bosses where you're supposed to kind of knock the bombs it shoots at you back into it to do damage to actually reach phase 2. So, yeah, the skip is good. Also eliminates the other use of Spark Chaser by not having to fight Wily Machine Part 2. Meanwhile, Sunstar here, that Wily found the Doomsday robot. We couldn't have a solar system game without the sun.
Kind of reminds me of a bulky samurai.
Yeah, kind of does. He's gonna have none of Dr. Wily's shenanigans here, and he wants Mega Man for his own. He takes 1 point of damage from everything. So, we're just gonna go to Pluto so that we can get some invincibility.
He does quite a bit of damage, and casually I would recommend come to this fight with about 2 E-tanks. Until you get used to it, you can come down to 1.
This
And
phase is free.
You can pretty much do it without an E-tank if you get the hang of it. Not an easy task.
Now, this is over the course of all of Retrothon, a Game Boy 1 through 5 run. And I was reminded earlier today that Game Boy 1 through 5 runs by Meme Edict must end with a Tango kill. So we're going to get that out.
Yeah,
That's too
EBC's
early. This might be
calling.
bad. Got him! That's Tango, the original Mega Man 5 weapon that replaces the stupid bird with Worse Cat. But, there we go.
And by the way, a sub 46 with a Tango strat, that's impressive.
Yeah. We lost 7 seconds in the Sunstar fight, which is pretty much all Tango. Damn cats, losing time in my speed game.
So this is about just over a minute of the third. So incredible run given the circumstances of a marathon. It probably wouldn't have gone much better otherwise, even with all the bad drop lucks.
Yeah. The drop luck
GG,
actually is
yeah.
the main thing that killed this. I went into the Sunstar fight. I got like the Wily 2 skip 33 seconds over my PB. I entered the Wily Star 18 seconds over it. So I basically lost 15 seconds to backup strats of not having ammo. The second half of this game can be pretty brutal, but I mean that's really it. We get to watch the Death Star explode, the Wily Star, because why not? We get the awesome fanfare, and then I won't wait to show the rest of the ending where, well, we get to see Dr. Wily's capsule just kind of explode all by itself. But that's Mega Man V.
Yeah.
We need more sub 50s. Play this game.
Play this game definitely, and it's a sad day. The Mega Man block is over. However, stick around. We do have your favorite Rebel Commandos, Whitman Price and Rot Dog.
Is Guerrilla War next?
Yes, Guerrilla
Is
War
Jackal
is
after
next.
that?
Probably. They
Yeah!
make sense.
So stick around, everybody. Thanks for watching Retrothon. And thanks for
Alright,
having
buddy.
me. All the good people here at Retro Gaming Live TV.